Hello and welcome to the video. This is the first video in a brand new little series about putting INAV into a plane like this. Now this is actually a Dolphin, Atom RC Dolphin version 1. I absolutely love these things. This is probably one of my favourite, if not the favourite, fixed-wing aircraft that I fly. I'm building this one out to be a little bit of a 6S Ripper, and I'm going to put INAV in it, so it's the perfect opportunity. Also with INAV 9 now being out here in 2026 to also put it in 2. Now for those of you that have been watching for a long time, you'll know that that is my first Dolphin. My first Dolphin, and a very faithful Dolphin it is too, is this one here. I've had this one for ages. This has INAV in it too, and I absolutely love flying this. So in this series I'm going to go through all the different steps that I use to set up INAV. It's aimed at those of you that have a little bit of radio control experience, so you can do things like set up a radio. So I'm not going to go through every single step. But what I will say is that a lot of the time when I'm at shows and people come up to me and say, oh, I followed your series, but I got to the end and it didn't work. Invariably, they follow that up with, but then I went back and actually watched it without skipping bits and realised the bits that I'd missed. Everything that we need to put INAV into a plane like this and get to the end and have it flying successfully, I'm going to cover in the video. If you skip stuff, you'll probably miss something important. So let's first of all talk about what is INAV. You may be watching this video because you've heard about it, you've seen other videos and you're not sure. Well, INAV itself is a close cousin to things like Betaflight. So if you're already a quad pilot and you play with things like Betaflight, then a lot of the stuff that's going to be covered in this series is going to be very, very familiar. The big difference with INAV compared to Betaflight is that INAV was originally forked or copied from CleanFlight, which is the parent of both Betaflight and INAV Flight, to focus and concentrate and fix the GPS flight mode stuff, which they did. But as part of that, because the people involved in the project were also really interested in fixed wing stuff, they kind of did that too. So INAV will work on quads, it'll work on fixed wing planes, it'll also actually do VTOLs as well. Now I'm aware that things like Betaflight has started to introduce support for fixed wings. However, INAV have been doing it for a very long time and has gone through a lot of the learning curve in order to make this pretty bulletproof at this point. So for my planes, I only trust it to either INAV or Arduplane. But don't worry about that. We'll talk about how all this stuff goes together in a moment. So INAV is basically a piece of software. Well, a couple of bits of software. One of it is one that goes onto the flight controller, and it's like your computer, your PC might be running Windows, it might be running Mac OS. That Windows or Mac OS is kind of the equivalent of INAV. You're going to install INAV onto a little flight controller, essentially a little computer that has an internal sensor so it can feel its attitude. There's also a companion PC application or computer application that you can put on a computer that you can connect to the flight controller via a USB cable and do all of the configuration. So it's pretty easy to set up at this point. I'll show you every step you need to do in order to do that successfully. And the last thing you need, I would recommend, if you're going to do INAV, get yourself a little GPS. They're not expensive, $20, $30 max, and it will provide a whole new level of flying experience. It will allow you to do things like a GPS loiter, where the plane will just circle one position in the sky. So if you get bored or you get stung by a bee in the middle of the flight, or the battery dies on the radio, whatever it is, you can just kind of set the model to loiter in one position. Handy also if you're doing things like training somebody. As you hand over the radio, you can do that. You can also do things like GPS return to home, and that is really good. So what that will do is that will fly it back to you, great in the event of a failsafe, but also do things like autonomous flying as well. Now, not everyone uses it for that, but there's loads of different benefits, and I'll get into those in a little bit more detail in a minute. You don't need INAV to fly a plane or wing like this, but I do it because by the time I've added a HDFPV system, a nice battery and all the other bits and pieces, there's quite a bit of money in a model like this, and I never want to lose it. If something goes wrong, I want that model to fly back to me. So why do I use INAV here? I actually fly a lot of my planes in what's called manual mode, where INAV kind of gets out the way and just adds expo and does the mixing for the control surfaces, and the rest of the flying of the model is actually down to me. So if I'm flying it mostly like that, why do I need INAV? Well, I'd like to have INAV if it's a slightly windy day or I'm teaching someone else to fly that aircraft. It gives me a level of stabilization, just like a typical stabilizer would. So if there's an uncommanded movement in any direction, the plane will automatically counter for that. I also like it for things like auto launch. I can actually get hold of the plane, arm it and throw it into the air, and it will automatically rise into the clouds without me having to do anything. I use auto launch on every single one of the planes that I put INAV on, actually, and even some of the prototype secret stuff that I get in here, I trust INAV to launch it better than I can, and it avoids mistakes because the ground is most often the thing that we hit when we have a problem with these things. As well as things like return to home mode that I've already talked about. It'll also give me an on-screen display, so allow me, if I'm flying with FPV goggles, to see critical information on there. So things like height, speed, battery status, distance, direction to home, have a variometer, loads and loads of different bits of information, which means that I can monitor the flight more successfully and also do things like get telemetry back down from the model to the radio, and using a little Lua script on the radio, on either HTX, Ethos or radio like that, I can actually display what is going on. So I can have a virtual little cockpit. So if something does go wrong and maybe my goggle battery dies or something else and it's flying back to me, I can just monitor the flight with that telemetry information on the screen of that radio. So there's lots of additional benefit if you're going to be bothered in doing this. So one of the questions that I regularly get is, well, how does INAV stack up against everything else? So let me just very quickly cover that on a slide so you know how it fits in with non-flight controller models, why you'd use it, and with things like stabilizers, even things like Arduplane. Let me put them on a slide and explain a little bit more detail. So let's start at one extreme end where we're manual flying. There's no help or support inside the model. Everything like the mixing and whatnot is done on the radio, and you just set it up on the radio for how you want. You add your expo. If there are control surfaces like elevons or a V-tail, you do all the mixing in there. That's one end. Let's populate this with all the others. The next level up then is a simple flight stabilizer. A flight stabilizer, something like these hobby wings I've looked at on the channel, they're very, very good, and you plug your receiver into them, then you plug the servos of the model into the actual stabilizer, and that provides some help and support, and it also provides some self-righting functions if you get into trouble as well. More sophisticated ones provide more sophisticated modes, but if you want something that's a bit smarter, these days, you want something like the Leafeye Sparrow. The Sparrow is available in multiple different versions. I've done videos on that as well. I'll put links down below. Basic stabilization is part of it. It also has self-righting features, but now it also supports things like auto launch, return to home mode, and OSD support as well. So you start to get a lot more features. And for lots of pilots, the Sparrow is probably going to give you most of the things that you need without having to reach for a soldering iron or a crimper or a computer, because you can do all the setup with the Sparrow without a computer. If you want more sophisticated stuff on fixed wing, then I would say you're looking at INAV Flight or Arduplane. INAV Flight gives you lots of additional things that we've already talked about, and then Arduplane is very different from things like Betaflight and INAV. It's been around a really long time. It has incredible support for things like terrain following, complex mission flying. This is what the professionals tend to use, but we're going to focus down here in INAV Flight, because INAV Flight tends to have more than enough stuff for most hobby grade pilots and for quite a few professional pilots as well. So what are we going to need to get this all set up? Well, you're going to need, in addition to the regular model and the servos and all the things that you'd have in a regular manual plane, you're going to get hold of something like a flight controller and a GPS. With those two additional things, you're going to be set. I'd recommend going to 3DXR, having a look in their shop. I've actually ordered the flight controller that I'm using here. It's a Maytech F405 Wing V2. This does require a little bit of soldering to put the pins on, sadly, but there's also different flight controllers, things like the Speedbee F405 Wing and others from TBS and Holybro that I've got on the channel, that if you're struggling to find it, I would go and check out the 3DXR site. It's one of those that's a little bit of a hidden gem, and when lots of other people are sold out, I tend to find that I can order it on 3DXR, and this flight controller that I've got for this is actually one of two I've just ordered for this project and have a spare for the spares bin. Apart from that, you're going to need some basic tools. You're going to need a soldering iron, you're going to need some pliers, standard stuff, so that you can wire everything in place. So let's hold it there, and I will hang on, and next video we're going to get into the weeds a little bit. We'll actually put the flight controller onto the computer, we'll download the software and firmware that we'll need. We'll flash or install the firmware onto the flight controller and do the configuration. We'll set up the radio, set up the GPS, and by the end of that video, we'll be ready to come back and actually install it inside the model. Once we've done that, then the last video of the main series is probably going to go as do the final tweaks, going to the field and seeing if it flies. So thank you for watching my content. Thank you for sticking with it. If you have any questions, do pop them down below, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll actually start flashing and setting up INAV on the new flight controller. Thank you for watching my video. Check out the playlist, and adding Painless 360 to your search terms will help you find my content. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. You can support the time I spend here answering questions and helping others by using the links in the video description.